Traveling the world can be an amazing experience. You get to see new places, try new foods, meet new people, but for some, it can also be a challenging experience. See, the world doesn't always roll out the welcome mat for everyone, especially if your skin color is, let's just say, not on the approved list. Today we're counting down the 10 countries where black people often feel unwelcome. So, buckle up, because we're about to get real uncomfortable, real quick. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more eye-opening content. Our first stop takes us to the land of the rising sun, Japan. Japan is known for its beautiful temples and incredible technology, but its views on race can be a little outdated. Imagine feeling like everyone's staring at you, not in a, hey, you're famous way, but like you sprouted a second head. That's the reality for many black people in Japan. They often feel like outsiders. It's not always outright racism, more like 1,000 tiny cuts, like being denied service while your white friend gets a table, or being told you can't touch the merchandise. It's subtle, but it stings. So, if you're black and planning a trip to Japan, be prepared. Pack your patience, sense of humor, and a good book on Japanese etiquette. And remember, it's all part of the adventure. Next up, we're waltzing our way over to Austria, home of Mozart, Schnitzel, and apparently a surprising amount of racial discrimination. Black people in Austria have reported experiencing everything from verbal harassment to physical assault. We're talking about being called racial slurs, being denied service, and even being followed around in stores. It's like stepping back in time, but not in a good way. And the worst part? It often feels like these incidents are swept under the rug. So, if you're planning a trip to Austria, just be aware that your experience might not be all Edelweiss and Mozart balls. Hold on to your lederhosen, folks, because we're about to delve into Germany, a country known for its efficiency and beer gardens, and unfortunately, its complicated history with race. Black people in Germany have reported facing racism and xenophobia. We're talking about being told to go back to Africa, denied housing, and experiencing violence. It's like some people missed the memo that diversity is a strength. And it's not just overt racism, it's the subtle stuff too, like being stared at on public transportation or being asked where you're really from. Now, I'm not saying all of Germany is a hotbed of racism, but there are definitely pockets of intolerance that need to be addressed, because silence, as they say, is complicity. Bonjour from France, the land of croissant romance, and a surprisingly complicated relationship with race. Despite having a diverse population, France still struggles with racial discrimination. Black people in France, particularly those from immigrant backgrounds, often face prejudice and exclusion. We're talking about racial profiling by police, discrimination in housing and employment, and a general sense of not being fully accepted by French society. And here's the thing. France has this whole idea of colorblindness, which sounds great in theory, but often just means they ignore the very real experiences of racism that people face. Now, I'm not saying France is a write-off. They've got those delicious pastries after all. But it's important to acknowledge that even in a country known for its romantic ideals, racism still rears its ugly head. So, if you're planning a trip to France, just be aware that your experience might not be all Eiffel Tower selfies and romantic strolls along the Seine. Stay informed and stay safe, and enjoy those croissants. Next up, we're heading to Poland, a country known for its beautiful architecture, its hearty cuisine, and unfortunately, its less than welcoming attitude towards black people. Black people in Poland have reported experiencing everything from verbal harassment to physical assault. We're talking about being called racial slurs, being denied service, and even being attacked on the street. And what's even more concerning is the rise of nationalist sentiment in Poland. We're talking about groups that promote ethnic purity and view anyone who doesn't fit their narrow definition of Polish as a threat. Now, I know Poland has a complex history and it's still grappling with its past, but that's no excuse for the racism and xenophobia that many black people experience there. So if you're planning a trip to Poland, just be aware that you might encounter some uncomfortable situations, and if you do, don't be afraid to speak up. Because silence, as they say, is complicity. Stay vigilant and stay safe, and maybe enjoy a pierogi or two. Just be cautious. We're now venturing into Ukraine, a country known for its beautiful sunflower fields, its delicious borscht, and sadly, its concerning track record with racial equality. Black people in Ukraine have reported feeling unsafe and unwelcome, facing discrimination in housing, employment, and even education. We're talking about being denied service, being followed around in stores, and being subjected to racial slurs and stereotypes. And what's even more troubling is the rise of far-right groups in Ukraine, some of whom have been linked to violence against minorities. Now, I'm not saying Ukraine is a lost cause. There are many wonderful people there who are working towards a more inclusive society. But it's important to acknowledge the very real challenges that Black people face in Ukraine. So if you're planning a trip to Ukraine, just be aware that you might encounter some uncomfortable situations. And if you do, don't be afraid to speak up, because silence, as they say, is complicity. Stay safe and stay informed. Next up, we're heading to Russia, a country known for its vast landscapes and rich history. Unfortunately, Black people in Russia face verbal harassment and physical violence. We're talking about racial slurs and being denied service. Nationalist sentiment is rising, promoting ethnic purity. They view anyone different as a threat. Not everyone in Russia is racist, just like not every vodka comes with a bear hug. If you visit, be aware and stay safe. And maybe enjoy some vodka responsibly. Hold on to your togas, folks, because we're about to delve into Greece, a country known for its ancient ruins, its beautiful beaches, and sadly, its not-so-ancient problem with racism. Black people in Greece have reported facing discrimination and prejudice in various forms. We're talking about being denied service, being subjected to racial slurs, and even experiencing violence. And here's the thing, Greece has a growing problem with far-right extremism, which often manifests in racism and xenophobia. Now, I'm not saying Greece is a write-off, they've got those delicious gyros after all, but it's important to acknowledge that even in a country known for its ancient history and stunning scenery, racism still rears its ugly head. So, if you're planning a trip to Greece, just be aware that your experience might not be all Acropolis selfies and romantic sunsets over Santorini. Stay informed and stay safe, and enjoy those gyros. Ciao from Italy, the land of pizza, pasta, and unfortunately, a side of prejudice. Black people in Italy have reported experiencing discrimination and racism, particularly in public spaces like airports, stores, and restaurants. We're talking about being followed around in stores, being denied service, and even being subjected to racial slurs. And here's the kicker. Italy has a growing problem with far-right extremism, which often manifests in racism and xenophobia. Now, I'm not saying Italy is all bad, they've got those amazing gelato flavors after all, but it's important to acknowledge that even in a country known for its beauty and romance, racism still rears its ugly head. So, if you're planning a trip to Italy, just be aware that your experience might not be all gondola rides and romantic dinners in Rome. Stay vigilant and stay safe. And enjoy that gelato. Just be cautious. Ni hao from China, the land of dragon's dumplings, and unfortunately, a healthy dose of staring. Black people in China, especially in less diverse areas, often talk about being treated like celebrities, but not in a good way. We're talking about constant stares, pointing, and even people trying to touch your hair or skin. And then there's the issue of cultural misunderstandings. Things that might be considered rude or offensive in one culture might be perfectly normal in another. But those cultural differences don't excuse blatant racism, which unfortunately does exist in China. Now, I'm not saying China is a no-go zone. They've got that Great Wall after all, and you can't beat those panda videos. But it's important to be aware that if you're Black and traveling to China, you might get a lot of unwanted attention. So pack your patience, your sense of humor, and maybe a good pair of sunglasses. You might need them. And there you have it, folks. 10 countries where being Black might mean facing more than just a language barrier. Now, I know this video might seem a little doom and gloom, but my goal isn't to discourage you from traveling. It's to start a conversation, to raise awareness, and hopefully to inspire some change. The world is a beautiful and diverse place, and everyone deserves to experience it without fear of prejudice or discrimination. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And remember, hit that subscribe button for more content like this. See you in the next video.